Hey friends, welcome to the channel. I am sitting in the back seat, well, part of the back seat of the town sedan. We are taking the interior out of the car. And so really excited to show you what we've already discovered. Some problems right out of the chute. I kind of expected that. And we are gonna show you some of the stuff that we start taking out and seeing what we discovered. So let's jump right in. So we've already got our front seat out, and one of the things, and I mentioned this earlier in the video, was the front seat was actually bolted back 3 inches. Here is where it should have been bolted. And there's kind of a welded nut on the underneath of these so that when the seat screws, which are these, actually go through the seat and they screw into this sliding track, that's where it should have been. Well, the previous owner, and I think actually the previous owner to the previous owner, was like 6'5", 6'6", and so he actually unbolted the seat, used the existing screws, and then put some nuts and lock washers on the underneath, and it was mounted here and mounted here. Well, what he also did was took out the adjusting knob that sits right here. Now, fortunately I have the adjusting knob. Now, I'm not sure if there's anything else that fits in here or not, so I'm going to do some investigating and see what I will find. I also got the bottom portion of the rear seat already out, and we are going to finish taking that out now. Now, this metal plate was underneath the back of the front seat, and I'm not really sure, quite honestly, why that plate is there. It didn't seem to be attached to anything, and I'm wondering if this is how he held the back section of the back seat in. Maybe the carpet was supposed to be attached to this, because there is this little clip right there. But again, I'm not sure why that metal plate is on there. I'm going to do a little bit of investigating. This is where the screws came through the plate, or the adjusting slider. There were no screws here, because obviously it was already off the back of the slider. You can kind of see where the slider had actually ended right here. And we've got it out. Wood has definitely got some issues. You can kind of see right here. We're probably going to go ahead and build a new frame for that. Same with the front seat. On the front bottom portion of it, it's really rotted out. We're going to go ahead and replace that as well. Now, this carpet is kind of gnarly, but we're going to start pulling it out, and it is really gnarly. I actually think it was easier to do that and then pull out the staples. We'll need to give this a good vacuum when we're done. See if we can wasn't sure if it was going to be all the way attached there or not. definitely have discovered that whoever owned this car before me had no problem using whatever screw they could find to fill a hole or secure something down. And I obviously have my work cut out for me there. We'll go to the other side and get that out. I guess the good news is, taking these screws out, they're actually a little hard to come out, and that's kind of a good thing, as they're screwed into wood underneath here. That's actually where they're screwed into. That kind of gives me high hopes that the wood here is in respectable shape. I may keep this carpet just long enough to do possibly use it as a pattern. Not really too sure, but floorboards seem pretty solid. Wood here doesn't seem like it's in too bad a shape. I'll probably take a look and see what I can find as far as maybe ways to extend the life. Interesting that I pulled the carpet out, and underneath I found a piece of what looks like old vinyl roofing material. Well, time to probably get the armrests off next. All right, so we've got this nasty looking carpet that's sitting here on the front, and the seat base doesn't look too bad, just needs probably some good cleaning, priming and painting. The sliders, surprisingly, move. At least this one does. We'll go over and take a look on the other side. Probably could just use a good cleaning, but I'm quite impressed that the slider moves. So I may end up putting the seat back where it should be. My wife even made the comment today, why do you want to sacrifice leg room? And I really don't want to, but the flip side of that is it would be nice to at least have the seat working the way it should. So throw something down in the comments if you want to. I'd like to hear your opinion. Alrighty, so we're over here on the other side, kind of just pulling out the remains of that carpet. If you're curious as to the sawdust, that is remnants of where the seatbelt bolts went through, and obviously that must have worked its way down into the carpet. Never could get it all the way out. Well, this slide seems to work as well too, and I think if it's okay, although the welded nuts on both sliders are there, I think I'm going to try to put the seat back the way it should be. So you can see that's the vinyl, some vinyl roofing material that I guess, I'm not sure why that's there, but wood doesn't look too bad. I might fill in some of these cracks a little bit, but so far I don't see anything that's just earthly alarming. That's pretty good. So if you look inside the bottom of the rear seat where my finger is, there is a wood screw here, goes through the wood here and into the wood here, and that's what holds the bottom of the seat in, or the bottom of the back portion of the seat, I should say. So I've already gone ahead and taken one screw out, and I just wanted to leave this screw in here loose so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. All right, so we've got the rear seat out now, and the top of the seat, just so you know, it's held in place with these clips right here. And if you grab the seat and just kind of, you know, from back here, if you grab the seat and just kind of push it in a little bit, it'll lift right up and out it comes. The armrests, we're going to take those out next. Now, there's a slide-in lever here. You can see that screw over there. That's kind of hidden by the seat. And so we're going to go ahead and take that out next. In looking at the initial look of this, it's not as bad as I actually thought it was going to be. Now we'll see once we get the rest of the interior out. But I'm actually quite impressed so far. Body looks pretty solid, at least right here. Don't really see anything super alarming just yet. So yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, there's a screw right there that kind of holds the armrest in behind the seat, and you can kind of see just over time it just has all kind of faded. I don't know if that's mold or crust or crud or whatever, but here's how the armrest right there, you can kind of see that metal bracket right here, and that just kind of fits in there, just kind of locks into place, kind of holds that in. Give it a good bump, and that's what kind of holds it in, and then you screw it in on the other side. And anyhow, we're going to go ahead and continue on taking out some of the other interior, see if we can see some of this wood. Okay, so I have the first section out, and the wood itself doesn't really appear to be too bad. I do find a few things somewhat kind of fascinating as I've been tearing into this, pardon the pun. But the wood really seems pretty solid so far. Now, as we get up here, obviously there's some wood rot, and that's going to be a problem. Probably going to have to fabricate some pieces in there, but that's not what I found interesting. What I found interesting actually was when I pulled that panel off, I saw that red inside. Now, what's kind of bizarre is that I don't think that's factory. Now, The previous owner told me that it had the original mohair interior. Now, I'm not so sure that he either knew that it was really the original mohair interior or not. I don't know. I'm not certainly going to accuse him of lying to me. Obviously, it's mohair, and it looked like it had been the original interior. So, not being a Model A expert, I wasn't going to necessarily question that. But as I took this apart, this one section, I noticed a couple of things that, I don't know, maybe that's the way interiors really were done at that time, but take this section here as an example. This was facing the outside of the door, passenger door, and this was inside towards the window. Now this was actually stapled onto the wood. You can kind of see some of the staple holes that I took out as I pulled this off. But then I go to pull it back and look at this. This is red, which would have been on the outside. This is red, which was on the inside. So I'm really finding it hard to believe that that was intentional. I'd love to hear in the comments what you all think, but that is definitely very suspicious to me. Now here, this is all of the, man, I don't know what this is. But you can see, as I mentioned earlier, that the fabric was just kind of nailed here to the wood. This actually fell from the top. And you might even be able to see some more of that come on out there. Yeah, this is going to be a fun project. The glass, this is the weather stripping. Yeah, I think that's kind of brittle. That's definitely going to have to be replaced as well. It should, as it should, anyway. Yeah, we'll pop that glass out and replace that as well. But here's the wood that I'm talking about. This is one of those things that kind of concerns me a little bit. And we might be able to fabricate a piece for that. Like I said, my friend is a guru when it comes to wood and a saw. And I've seen that man do things that I didn't even think could be done, and he does it with ease. But so far I don't, no patch panels, none of that stuff. The body looks pretty solid, so we're just going to keep tearing out the interior. I took the window molding out of the rear windows so that you could see what I was talking about earlier. Now if I move back a little bit, you can actually see the pattern of where the bottom window trim was, and it looked like they took the cloth and actually folded it right over and nailed it to the wood around the window. And that's kind of the way all of this has been done. Now I'm not sure honestly if that's factory correct or not, but that seems to be the way that this was done. Now, one thing I can definitely tell you is that this has been replaced. There's no question about it. When I took out this panel on the other side, it was actually blue. And so I think whoever did the interior restoration, whenever it was done, maybe it was done back in the 60s, I don't know. But I think they just used whatever they had on hand. And we're going to fix that. And like I said, we're not going to install mohair. That's something we're not going to do. But we are going to install something that's period appropriate. I don't want to use the word period correct, but more along the lines of, kind of period appropriate. Something that would have been used in the early to maybe even mid-30s. And that's kind of how I plan on going about it. Now, I definitely kind of tore in on the other side. We'll move over there. And you can see a lot of junk up there. And there's definitely a broken header here. I could feel, just pieces of that. You can see it move. We're going to get a better look at that later. But all the wood down here seems to look pretty good. Looks pretty solid. It is pretty solid. Don't see anything loose. Sheet metal looks pretty good. Don't see any problems there. Since I have this apart, I might go ahead and just kind of throw in some Rust-Oleum paint in there just to keep it preserved. But all in all, the wood, at least from the windows down, looks pretty good. So I'm at least somewhat hopeful that we may not be into a super duper major project anyway. Wow, this was a lot of work, pulling out the seats and getting the interior out and all that junk up there just falling down and whatnot. Man, I'm filthy. I got to jump in the shower. It's just a lot of work. Door panels come off next, and we'll see what we got there. And you all have a wonderful day. Most of all, be blessed. I know I am.